I'm going to give you a story in the New York Times that has just come out. In the Arab Spring, Obama finds a sharp test. Listen to this and realize this is the New York Times. President Hosni Mubarak didn't even wait for President Obama's words to be translated before he shot back. You don't understand this part of the world, the Egyptian leader broke in. You're young. Mr. Obama upended 3 decades of American relations with its most stalwart ally in the Arab world, putting the weight of the United States squarely on the side of the Arab street. It was a risky move by the American president, flying in the face of advisors from elders on his staff at the State Department and the Pentagon, who had spent decades nursing the autocratic but staunchly pro-American Egyptian government. Did you just hear that? This is the New York Times saying that it was autocratic and it was bad, but it was at least staunchly American, and that he went against his elder advisors at the State Department and the Pentagon on this. The hard-reflected lessons the president had learned over 2 years of political turmoil in the Arab world, bold words and support for democratic aspirations are not enough to engender goodwill in this region, especially not when hampered by America's own national security interest. That blunt show of force confronted Mr. Obama with the limits of his ability or his willingness to midwife a democratic change. Despite the global outcry over the shooting and tear gassing of peaceful protests in Bahrain, the president largely turned a blind eye. 2 weeks after a large street protest broke out in Iran after disputed presidential elections, Mr. Obama followed a low-key script criticizing violence but saying he didn't want to be seen as meddling in Iran domestic politics. Now, here's the New York Times starting to make the case that he regrets this. I do not believe this is true. Reasonable people can disagree with me, but I don't believe this is true. I don't believe that this president sees Iran as a threat. I think he sees them as a balance of power in the Middle East against Israel. And he saw Hosni Mubarak as a guy who was propping up colonialism in Egypt and propping us up in the Middle East. I believe that's true. But that is only reading this man's actions over the last few years and knowing who his advisors and his friends and his counselors and his mentors have been throughout his life. But that doesn't make it true. That still makes it conjecture. Here's how it ends. It ends with, if Mr. Obama had cultivated closer ties to the Saudis, he may have brought time. He may have bought some time. The tensions between Mr. Obama and the Gulf states, both American and Arab diplomats say, derive from the Obama character trait. He has not built many personal relationships with foreign leaders. He is not good with personal relationships. It's not what interests him, says one United States diplomat. But in the Middle East, those relationships are essential. The lack of them deprives D.C. of the ability to influence leadership decisions. Arab officials echo that sentiment, describing Mr. Obama as cool, a cerebral man who discounts the importance of personal chemistry in politics. You can't fix these problems by remote control, says one Arab diplomat with long experience in Washington. He doesn't have any friends who are world leaders. He doesn't believe in patting anybody on the back or calling them nicknames. You can't accomplish what you want to accomplish with an impersonal style in the Arab world. This is who this man is. This is why he's not meeting with anybody. Nobody wants to meet with him. Nobody is his friend. And he has taken our friends and he has chased them off. He has betrayed every single friendship that we do have. This goes into his personality fault, his character fault, a huge character fault of thinking that he is above everything. He can just give a good speech and it will fix itself. It doesn't. Beyond that, this president has a mindset that is in line with the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's what the project is all about.